Hello and welcome back for another video in my 11th of the series, Start from Scratch with the Boss RC600 LoopStation. If you've been following along, in the last video we configured this RC600 on mode 1 to match what you see here. I have auto record, one shot, those two are assigns, and I have a reverse control function, and I put an input through here on switch number 8. I have mode select and an all start stop. I'm saving these 3 foot switches for other purposes, possibly effects, and I'm going to make an entire series of videos pertaining just to effects because it's far too big of a topic to try to start dealing with it in just 1 or 2 videos. It's going to take an entire series. Anyway, please hit like and subscribe, and if you wish to support my channel, you can do so at buymeacoffee.com/theMichaelsphere. In this video, we're going to switch over to mode 2. So let's move that just up out of the way. We can see this is a white LED, so we're still on mode 1 as it's been programmed here. Switching over to mode 2, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but this is now red, but you might not be able to tell the difference because of lighting and whatnot. Anyway, now we're going to take away all of these functions and we're going to reset a layout for mode 2. Okay, so now as I said in the previous video, we're going to use the mark back and the mark set series of functions. And I'm going to start with record back on the first foot switch. I'm going to put mark back here right beside it, and mark set will be right alongside those. And when you use these 3 foot switches together, you can get some amazing control. But when you also add in an assign for dub mode that is changing the way overdub works, you can actually have some crazy effects happening now with all 4 of those together. Also, another function that I'm going to include here is called double speed, and that doesn't pertain to the tempo of the drums or anything like that. It pertains to the speed of the track. You can play one track at a different speed than the others, and we're going to fool around with that as well. Also, there is a complementary control called half speed. So we're going to use all 6 of these foot switches in the next video, and you'll be able to see what kind of interesting things you can do with it. All of them pertain to current track, with the exception of dub mode. It's an assign, and it affects all 6 tracks at the same time. Whenever you activate this, you will be affecting all of the tracks, not just one. And the last function that I'm going to put on this RC for mode 2 is memory increase. And the reason for that is I'm going to show you something that you can do instead of using all clear that is associated here with all start stop, and when you hold it down you have all clear. I'm going to show you how you can use memory increase as a better way to clear everything in the track and reset all of the commands that you may have been fooling around with on any of the 3 modes. Anyway, let's just get started and we will have a closer look at the menus. So to configure all of this, it all happens in menu and in control function or in assign. Starting with control function, we're on mode 2. So let's go into mode 2 and start at pedal number 1. I want it to be a record back for current track. So scrolling past all of the functions for tracks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, then you're into the current track section starting at about the 1 o'clock position. And we're going to look for record back. It's about partway through the settings for current track, and there it is right there, record back. Exiting from that, let's go to pedal number 2, and in the same area we'll see mark back. And let's track that down. It should be right about here. Mark back. I have mark back 1, mark back 2. The only difference being mark back 2 adds a function on hold. So when you press and hold, you can have record back. I want to keep that on a separate foot switch for now. Maybe later I will combine the two onto one single foot switch as I get more accustomed to using it. Anyway, mark back 1 is what I want for foot switch number 2. Exit. Let's go now into pedal number 3, and I want mark set. And of course it'll be in the same vicinity, mark set. And there's a couple of options for mark set as well. Mark set 1 and mark set 2. Mark set 2 gives me the option to clear the mark when I press and hold, and I think I will use that. So let's set mark set number 2 on foot switch number 3. Pedal number 4 is an assign, so no function needs to be set, although I do want an LED indicator light. And so I'm going to scroll it all the way to the very end where it says LED toggle color. Now all that's going to do is give me an LED when I press on that foot switch so that I'll know that the function is active. Scrolling over to pedal number 5, I want that to be double speed. And again, it is under the current track settings. So there's a couple of different options for this as well. There is double speed or double speed momentary, which means I have to hold the foot switch down. And when you let go of the foot switch, it will go back to normal speed. And when the RC is on the floor and I'm performing, I might want to use momentary. But for now, being it's up on a table and I'm showing you this as a demo, I want to have it up in hands reach, so I'm not going to use the momentary function for now. Anyway, let's go to the next foot switch, 6. It's going to be half speed, so it should be right beside where we just were. And here it is here, half speed, or half speed on a momentary function. And I don't want that because my RC is up on the table. So half speed for current track. Exiting that brings us now to foot switch number 8. 7, of course, is my mode select switch. Pedal 8, I want to be memory increase. And we're going to find that all the way around at about the 4 o'clock position. Should be in this vicinity right here. Increase 1. There's increase 2, decrease 1, and decrease 2. And I just want the first one, increase 1. Never mind where it says hold being increased. What that does, when you press it, it'll increase 1 by 1. And when you hold it down, it'll increase so fast that you really can't control it anyway. So I don't really want that unless I want to go, say, from memory number 14 and zip it up to memory 62 or whatever. It would allow me to do that quickly. If I wanted to go that route, it'll get me in the vicinity, but it's hard to control, and so you might want to avoid using the hold function for increase or decrease if you can. And that brings us to foot switch number 9 on mode 2, and I want that to be set up to be exactly the same as mode 1. For now, it's an all start with a clear function when you hold it down. So now we just have to set up the assign for foot switch number 4, which, as you recall, assign number 4 is what we're going to use. As you recall, we configured an LED in the control functions to come on when you press it. Now we're going to set the function for mode 2, pedal 4, to be toggle instead of momentary, and I want that to be dub mode. We're going to find that at about the 2 o'clock position. So scrolling around past all of the input effects and track effects, and then there's a few commands for the tracks again, and then dub mode is right here. And when that pops up, you now have the option to indicate when you press the button, it's going to go from what mode to what other mode. And I want normal overdub, and when I press the button, I want it to switch over to replace 2. And that, of course, as I said in the previous video, that means that I can hit the record button for this track, and it will now record the new material that I'm playing without playing what's currently there. So it'll replace everything effectively, which is really cool to be able to do. There's the option of playing the track as well, and overdubbing it and replacing it with new material while you're playing that track, but I want it to not play the track. So that is what we're going to leave it at. Anyway, that is all that we need to do here. So let's back out of this. Being that we're using double speed and half speed, there is a couple of functions that we probably want to take into account. Going into loop and track, when you're using double speed and half speed, I'm going to scroll over here, and incidentally, dub mode, I'm going to press my foot switch now for dub mode, and you can see, yes, it just scoots right across from one to the other. I'm just pressing foot switch number 4, and that's what's happening. So let's scroll on over, and loop sync is on. Everything is as I wished, and tempo sync is here, and I want to turn on this function. It's already on because I turned it on earlier, and I want to turn that to be on for now because I believe that it does need to have access to an indication of where the track sits if you're going to fool around with the tempo or the speed of the track. But remember, we're in the loop track sub-menu, and so this menu you have to go through 6 times, once for each track. That says track 1 at the top, so I have to press loop. Track 2, I want to turn that same tempo sync function on, and I have to do that for each and every track if I'm going to possibly be using the half speed or the double speed. They all need to be turned on because they need a reference of how the tracks are locked together. And now we're able to move on to the next step. There is one place where we still need to go, and under loop and play, I want to now scroll over to this screen. So scrolling over twice to the last screen of the play submenu, I want speed change. Currently it's set to immediate, and I want that to be loop end. So when I do change the speed of any track, I want it to happen at the end of its current loop, not immediately, because I want the leeway to be able to press it slightly ahead of time so I don't have to try to get too many foot switches in at the exact same time. So set it to loop end, you'll have a little bit better luck with it. And that should be all that we really need to do. So scrolling back out of that, the last thing that I need to configure is a parameter for memory increase. If I were to press memory increase right now, I would go to memory 2 and all of my changes that I've just done would be lost. But before I do save anything, I'm going to go into menu and scroll all the way over to setup. I'm going to go into here and scroll over again to where I see external, memory external. And what this is, it's going to put limits on that memory increase function. So for memory 1, I want it to be only going from 1 to 2. Well, why would I do that? Well, because I'm going to set, once I have everything finished for memory number 1, I'm going to copy it into memory number 2, so the two memories would be identical. So I want to be only able to switch between 1 and 2 for these couple of memories. That effectively gives me a complete and total clear and reset of the memory. I'll be in a mirror image of the same memory, and it would allow me now to redo or perform the next song with the exact same settings if I wanted. For now, I believe that that should be all that we need to do for this memory. So now I'm going to hit write and save this into memory number 1. Also, I'm going to write into memory number 2. So now I'm going to have two identical memories with everything exactly the same. And then we would be able to fool around in the next video with sounds and some demonstrations, and then we're going to experiment with a lot of this setup. So hopefully, if you've been following along, You'll be able to set up a memory or two this way if you wanted, and I'm going to show you how I use all of this. Anyway, please remember to hit like and subscribe, and if you want to support my channel, I would sure appreciate it at buymeacoffee.com/theMichaelsphere. And that is all for this video. So please have a great night, and we will see you in the next one very soon. Bye now.